Yo, what's good people, and welcome back. Now today's video sees us visit another small village in Shropshire. This time we're going to a place called Highley. Now this place did pop up while I was scouring on the lidar, so we saw a few things and thought we'd check it out. Now since I've been here, I've found out it was supposedly an old mining place. And the place we are walking around today, which is called Severn Valley Country Park, was actually created as a result of the mines closing down. So you'll see as we go along though, how I'm not fully convinced of this. So yeah, it's all started out on a wet day, and with a little break in the weather, we decided to head out to see what was at Highley, with the hopes of just a few hours being enough. Now I just want to show you the aerial photos as well from the late 40s. And no, I haven't cut it out into, that really is how they show the area, or half of the area should I say. Anyway, shall we get to it? So going forward, I am going to be doing a few more sped up sections, but only in between, going from place to place, and I will be showing you as much as possible in real time. And yeah, I just want to say now, your eyes aren't deceiving you, that really is the sun beaming down in the UK in January. So yeah, that's already my first hidden thing of the day. No, I'm joking, but let's get back to it. So yeah, you keep on this path and you should see a peat bog type thing, and you go a little bit further. And besides the fact I don't even know which way to go. Yeah, I'm going this way as well, darling. My spidey senses told me this way. Did your spidey senses tell you this way as well?
Yes.
Good.
I just watched.
No, stay back a bit please. I don't want you in my camera. So as you heard me say, I wasn't sure which way to go, but Octavia pointed us down this direction. 4 years old and she's already got an eye for it. Give me a high five. You're on it. Straight away. Well done, darling. Now, I'm gonna try something a little different as well, because after my last video where I didn't talk at all, it felt kind of nice. So that's what I'm gonna do here. I'm not gonna talk all the way through. There is gonna be bits and bobs where I just leave you, your thoughts and the video together sort of thing. But as you can see, another game, what comes first, the tree or the sandstone? I kind of like this game, so it might end up being a feature because it's everywhere I go. But yeah, already the signs, hopefully you can see the signs. Now, like I say, this is supposedly a quarry, but it didn't give me the vibes of a quarry at all. You're gonna see here the amount of blocks and whatever that appear to have been placed on top of each other and whatnot, but we'll get to that in a second. Right there, that's the first signs, what I'd like to say, an entrance of some sorts, because I do see this a lot where earth and mud and whatnot is congregated into sort of like a mound like that. Now you might just think it's a coinky dink, that's cool, but I will hopefully show you a little bit better further on into this video, because there is a lot of signs like this. And again, can you see the tree growing through the actual sandstone there? But yeah, I don't know if you can make it out, but it felt like a lot of big blocks towards the bottom and then smaller layers towards the top. I will give you my 2 pennies worth a little later on. And yeah, this is the first time I've been to somewhere like this, where it's just quite a lot of damage, like quite a lot of blocks and whatever are actually on the ground as well, and actually make up the ground. You couldn't really walk around here without walking on bits of blocks of sandstone or... And yeah, this is sandstone. It looks nothing like the sandstone that I've seen so far, but from what I've gathered, it's just a different colour variation of the sandstone. again, I am slowly collecting samples from each location I go to, with the hopes of obviously finding out what these samples actually are and everything eventually. So yeah, this to me as well, this makes me feel like I haven't come across anything like this before, where the gaps are like this in the actual rock face and whatnot. It's something totally new to me. Like, I've not experienced that type of thing before, and it just made me feel like a lot of these were blocks that had been put there. As you can see, they're falling away from each other. There's gaps and whatever else, and it's not just like one place. It's all over this place. It's just constant. The amount of, you can just see through the cracks in the rocks, and it just goes back and back. Like I say, this is unlike anything I've been to before, and up until here I've not actually paid much interest in quarries, but going forward that's definitely going to change, because I genuinely don't think, after being here, I don't think the quarries are what they actually was quarrying the rocks from. What I think this might have been, and it is just my opinion, but I do feel like this used to be an old world structure of some sort, as you can see with all the blocks and whatever. And here, another mention of the mounds. But yeah, I do feel like this is like an old world structure that they've literally, as they've come to mine it, they're not actually mining it, they're just destroying it, getting rid of what they can. But I'll get back to that one in a sec. This here got my interest. Like I say, I understand people might turn around and say it could be the congregation of water and whatever, like the river, because we're not far from the River Severn, which has caused this mound to happen the way it has. I'm just not buying it myself. The way it is and the way that other mounds are around this area, it just doesn't seem viable for the water from the river, which is, we're probably about 100 feet away from the river at the moment, but it's just not viable for that river, even if it was flooding, to push everything up like this. And you'll see what I mean in a minute. I mean, I'm actually down in a ditch now, and that mound I just showed you is that mound right there. So it's quite a big mound when you're up at the top, and then I've actually come down into a ditch, which I think Paige is just going to model for you now. There you go, just so you get a rough idea of how high up we are. And then yeah, you also see me walking up to the top of that mound, because Paige didn't want to go that far because it was quite slippy. But yeah, that gives you an idea of how high up we are. And yeah, that point there, I actually thought I was going to slip because the sandstone come away from me in my hands. But luckily, I had my footing about me and whatever, so. But yeah, this we then headed out to the railway bridge. And yeah, I just wanted to give it an honourable mention because it's all sandstone blocks like usual. And yeah, the power of the River Severn at this time of the year is pretty unbelievable. So yeah, anyway, let's get back to it. So on the other side of the train station here, Highley train station, there's more here that we've come across. And like I say, the narrative claims that this is a quarry, but I just don't buy it. I mean, if you guys went to this place yourselves, you'd probably have the same feelings as me. It just seems like a lot of block work that has been piled up on top of each other. So they've actually created something with all the block work and whatnot. And yeah, that's what it feels like to me. Lots of blocks and lots of smaller layers on top of, they've built something a bit like, it feels like Lego to me. It feels like I'm doing some Lego building with my daughter. And yeah, I just stripped away the moss and everything on that rock just so you can see it exposed. Now this I actually hyperlapsed it on my phone, so let me know if this one's not as queasy as the last ones, because the last ones I've just been speeding up real footage. But yeah, getting on to the next bit now. So obviously, you know what I'm like, so I had to make sure I jumped over this fence. But yeah, see what I was explaining, or what I was saying earlier, where there's like the big blocks at the bottom and then smaller layers on top. Now, explain to me how that happens. That's supposed to be natural, is it? I don't think it is. Like I say, I do genuinely think this used to be an old structure of some sorts, and for them to come along and destroy it, they've literally labelled it as a quarry, just so they can take all the blocks away and whatever, perfect blocks probably, and ship them over to the rest of the country and whatever else. So yeah, like I say, I had to get over this fence. If there's a fence there, it usually means that they're hiding something, and I think this time was no different. And just out of generosity, just out of me being a nice human being, I'm not going to show you how Paige and Octavia got over this fence. I mean, I may be persuaded for a bag of chips or something, I may show you the footage, but like I say, I'm a gentleman, so I'm going to leave that footage for now. But yeah, let's get back to it. As you can see, I hope you can see all the mounds. And yeah, like I say, this is the first time I've been to a place like this where it felt like the hills, the mounds, were actually made up of the blocks. Does that make sense? Whenever I've been to other places, you might see the odd bit of sandstone on the floor, but nothing like here. It actually feels like they've smashed up as much as they possibly could here and turned it into mounds. It's crazy. But yeah, like I said, that's just my opinion. It's probably wrong. I'm not claiming to be an expert or nothing. I'm far from it. As you know, I'm just starting out. Maybe in a couple of years I might have a better idea and whatnot. And then yeah, this year, I don't understand how this would naturally form. Well, I do understand. Well, my eyes, my brain, my thinking is telling me that that was possibly a way in. I don't know. But if you have a look at the mound of earth as well, I mean, like I say, this isn't the first time I've come across mounds of earth like this, but this is the first time I've come across the sheer number of mounds like this, and the way that they all line up with each other. So like I say, if this was the water pushing all the earth and whatnot to the end, it wouldn't form like that. And yeah, I didn't pay much attention to that at the time, and I'm kicking myself for it now, but that was either sand or whatever from these actual sandstone, from the actual stones itself. I wish I had have looked into it a little bit more. But as you can still see, just if this is natural, if all this earth and all this mounds and whatever is all naturally occurring, then please somebody explain how it happens. Hopefully it's showing you what I'm trying to get at on this video. If not, I do advise, if possible, go into a place like this and you'll see what I mean with the mounds. But to me, it's just not a natural occurrence of how a mound would happen. It does genuinely feel like it's been piled up there for one purpose, and that purpose is to hide something. And like I say, this isn't the first time I've come across this. It's literally every location I go to, you see these mounds and whatever else. And yeah, hopefully you can see, like, this is supposed to be a natural cliff face, so why does it have so many cracks and gaps and whatever in between every single piece of rock? Again, like I say, I'm not an expert and I don't claim to be an expert. I'm simply going out there, showing you what I see, and then giving you my 2 pennies worth. But yeah, to date, nobody's been able to give me anything
You're gonna have to change your other videos.
that
then,
would
yeah.
sort of explain how all this actually occurs in nature.
Obviously, this is where you
I mean,
want
the layers upon layers as well. I mean, I see this with the sandstone, just not on this
to. I
level.
understand that aspect. I understand that.
I mean, when I was there, I was debating if it was actually sandstone or not, because every sandstone I've come across so far has been like the what do they class it as, like the new redstone sort of stuff, and this just wasn't. I mean, it had the same feel to it, it just had a totally different appearance. But like I say, that is down to it apparently being a different colour of sandstone, which again is quite weird because we're not far from Bridgenorth, which has red sandstone. We're not far from Bewdley, which has red sandstone. Kimber has red
This
sandstone.
feels like
All of it has red sandstone around the area, and this is the
something
first
else
one
here.
I've come across that isn't.
something here.
But yeah, I do make my way to the top of this mound as well, just so hopefully it gives you some sort of idea of how high up these mounds actually are. And yeah, you get more cracks in the rocks. This is why I don't feel like it was a quarry, because there's just too much block work. That's what I'm going to call it. Too much block work, too many cracks, and too many layers. Now, I probably understand it if they formed the quarry themselves. Makes no sense. But yeah, I'm just trying to think outside the box, try and think of an explanation for this kind of thing. But yeah, so far I haven't come across one. It's just weird how wherever I go and I see these sandstone formations and whatnot, there's always a lot of earth around it as well. I mean, I'm on top of this mound here. Can you see that mound there? And this is what I'm saying. If this was water that had pushed like from the river, because I do know it floods a lot, as I showed you earlier, and being in the area, I know that it floods every year. But yeah, the way those mounds are, the water wouldn't push the mounds wouldn't be like that if the water had pushed them all up to the cliff face, as it were, like to the rock face. You wouldn't have the hills and the peaks and the valleys, and that's what it felt like. It felt like a literal valley. You were in between a couple of valleys type thing. I've just thought, I said at the start, I'm not going to talk as much, and I've still yabbited on all the way through this video. Good job there's a mute button, isn't there, really? But yeah, it's just everywhere. These signs are absolutely everywhere. So we didn't actually find any caves or anything today, but what I did find was a lot of sandstone and a lot of,
Yeah, I'm starting to think with these
like I say,
caves,
it felt like a lot of things that were hidden. I mean, someone might have an answer out there for those mounds, how they do congregate naturally, but the way that they do congregate in certain areas and the way that they peak up, it tells me that there's something else there, especially when I've been to other places that have these same mounds, and if you look closely enough at the back of the mounds, you can actually sort like see the top of like an opening. Well, that's just what my mind sees. It might not be. It might just be a little crack in the rocks and whatnot. But yeah. And again, there, what comes first, the tree or the sandstone? Yeah, it was quite tricky. Like I say, it was raining on the morning. On the way over, the sun come out. It's quite annoying. I didn't have my sunglasses or nothing, so pretty blinded in the car on the way over. But yeah, like I say, hopefully you can make out all the blocks different blocks, the different shapes, and then pretty much everywhere we go there's gaps in the rock. And then this was probably my favourite part. I actually stood here for about 5 minutes staring at that shovel thinking, do I? I'm tempted, but there was that much earth here. The amount of earth here is unlike anything I've seen previously. So I genuinely think I would have probably be here for a couple of days with that spade. I'd probably be here for a day or two with a digger. But yeah, like I say, this is the first place I've been to where the rock is actually making up or let me get my words out, making up a lot of like the floor. And again, this here, if this is all a natural rock face, explain how you've got all these cracks, all these gaps, all these different shapes and sizes. Nothing looks like it's been broken away from the other part or anything like that. It literally does look like it's blocks of this sandstone, whatever you want to call it. It's blocks of it that has been piled up, that over the years, to me, has fallen away, started to fall apart from each other. And I'm not saying that is the case. Again, this is just my opinion. But yeah, everywhere I went round here, the whole floor was just littered with rocks. And it genuinely did make me feel like whatever was here got smashed up as much as possible. The rocks that they could then reuse, they've chucked on the back of the trains and whatever, like the narrative claims. And then the rest of it has literally just been smashed up. And they've then created some country park, nature reserve, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, so you walk around these places and don't think nothing of it. But again, like I said, that is just my opinion. And we all know about opinions, don't we? But yeah, like I said, this was a huge piece of sandstone. If anyone's got any ideas of why this would be the case, if anyone's been to this place and have got a better understanding of it, let me know. And yeah, just to finish up, this is the narrative. Basically, these are a few ornaments here in the country park, which is basically a shout out to the miners and whatever else. I personally think it's put there just as a distraction, so you don't ask questions about the actual mines themselves, if they are mines. So yeah, I will be back. I didn't catch everything that I wanted to. Light was fading and whatever else. Roll on the summer when we get 12-hour days and decent weather. But yeah, I've been Nicky B, and until next time.